Hi everyone, my name is Megan Williams, and the Great Leader that I chose for our Great Leader project is Osceola. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Osceola, and then I'm going to tell you about his leadership competencies, the type of power he used, his leadership successes and failures, and his accomplishments. And then I'll tell you a little bit about why I chose Osceola for this project. So first of all, Osceola was born in 1804 to Polly Coppinger, a Muskogee Creek woman, and William Powell, a English trader. His birth name was Osceola, and that's a Creek word meaning black drink crier. It's not really a name, it's actually a title of a person who does certain things during Creek ceremonies. Black drink is referring to a ceremonial caffeinated drink that Muskogee Creeks drink during certain ceremonies, and black drink crier is the person who announces the time that they do this. So it was really more of a title, and kind of gives you a little insight to what he did in his Muskogee culture. He was raised in his mother's clan because the Creek society is matrilineal. So his father really didn't have much to do with him because that's just how the Creek culture works. In 1814, his mother fled with him to what is now Florida after the Creek War, and they joined with other Creek refugees down in Florida and became what were some of the first people to become the Seminole tribe. He's often mistakenly referred to as Chief Osceola, but he was never a chief. He was the advisor to Chief Micanopy, who led the Second Seminole War. And he died in 1838 after he was captured by General Thomas Jessup. And there's a lot of interesting questions surrounding his death, such as what did he really die of? Some places say that he died of quinsy, which is kind of an inflamed like throat disease, kind of like tonsillitis, but a little bit worse. And other accounts say that he died of malaria. So they're really not 100% certain what he died of. And he was captured under deceptive methods in 1837, and then he was brought to Fort Moultrie in 1838, and he died there. So, what were his leadership competencies? Well, his first competency was his character. Whenever Osceola said he was going to do something, he did it. He kept his promise, such as he said that certain things would not be forgotten, as far as things that U.S. government officials did towards the Seminole tribe, and he did not forget them, and he repaid them for it. And he also led by example, such as he would not send his men into battle if he wasn't willing to go himself. So whenever he sent people out to do battle, he was with them. He didn't let them go alone. And if he thought that it was dangerous and he would not be willing to take on this size of a battle, then he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't send them out. His second competency was his personal capability. He was a seasoned warrior, and Chief Micanopy saw this, and Chief Micanopy sought him out for personal counsel and advisement, and he advised the chief on battle strategy and what would be a good way to interact with the U.S. government. The types of power he used are both personal and positional power, but we can first see the personal power of expert power. He was a skilled warrior. He knew what he was doing on the battlefield, so he led based on that, and he was obviously able to advise Chief Micanopy on strategies and tell Chief Micanopy when certain things were a good choice and what certain things would not be in the Seminole tribe's best interests. Then his positional power of legitimate power. He was legitimately a leader because he was advisor to the chief, and he was a military leader. He had risen through the ranks of Seminole warriors, and before he died, he was leading his own people. So his leadership successes, what really amazed me with him was he never lost a battle. Not one. Every battle that he fought for the Seminole tribe against the U.S. government, he won. And as a result of that, the Seminole tribe is unconquered. And they were allowed to, well, I say allowed, they remained in Florida instead of being forced to move west of the Mississippi like other tribes such as the Creek and Choctaw, Chickasaw. So that's why the Seminole tribe is still in Florida today. And his leadership failures. He was captured in 1837 by General Thomas Jessup because he was deceived into attending peace talks with U.S. government officials. And this caused a nationwide uproar because this particular general deceived him, and people thought that it was very underhanded. And whenever Osceola had come to genuinely talk peace and ending the Second Seminole War with the government, but instead, because General Jessup captured him and his men that he had brought with him, then it just continued the Seminole War for several years longer than it needed to. And he was originally held in St. Augustine, and then later on they moved him to Fort Moultrie, and he died there in 1838. So his accomplishments were obviously that he was picked to be Chief Micanopy's advisor. He was the personal advisor to one of the main chiefs leading this war against the U.S. government. And his other accomplishment is that he never lost a battle. That's not something that a lot of leaders can say. You have to be very skilled in order to not lose a battle against somebody. So he obviously knew what he was doing. I wanted to tell you a little bit about why I chose to do my project on Osceola. Well, I myself am Osceola Creek, and my dad was a chief. And growing up, he always wanted me to understand the importance of this part of history, because that is what you can kind of trace it back to Osceola when the Seminole tribe was formed. And when the separation between the Creek and the Seminole happened, you can trace it back. So this is very important, and my dad always wanted me to understand that. But it's very interesting to me. And plus, growing up in Florida, I always heard a lot about Osceola through Florida State University, and my dad wanted me to understand the truth behind all of it. So that's why I chose this. And I hope you guys learned a little bit. So thank you for listening.